People say I have a drinking problem, but I don't think I have a problem drinking. I think I'm pretty fucking good at it, actually. I've got my own express lane at the local Wetherspoons. Oh, and I know a few of you will have made snap judgments about me based on what I've just said, but you can't tell me that you haven't been in a Wetherspoons. Come on, we're British, for Christ's sake. We can't help but gravitate towards them. God, what a classy bunch, aren't we? You don't see them on holiday, though, do you? You don't go to Marbella and see a Wetherspoons on every drab high street like you do over here. Mind you, where I come from, the Wetherspoons is a holiday destination. Where are you going this summer, Pam? Oh, well, we thought we'd have a week down the Lord John Percy. Oh, I didn't know they did rooms. Oh, they don't. They just let you sleep in whatever booth you pass out in. Oh, that's all right. Aye, and then they wake you up in the morning with a full-cooked breakfast for $2.69. Oh, you don't get that in Malaga. No. Have you ever been in a Wetherspoons at breakfast time? Oh, it's like Black fucking Friday. They're all lined up at the bar, all the toothless wonders, £5 note in hand, straining like greyhounds in the traps, and then as soon as it turns 9 a.m, they're off, pushing and shoving and elbowing to be the first one to get their $1.99 pint of piss water. Oh, I tell you, the first time you see it, you can't help but stare. But you have to be careful, you don't want to be caught staring, because then you get the, Who are you looking at? Who am I looking at? Who am I looking at? Do you think I'm looking at the picture of some obscure local celebrity behind your head? No, mate, I'm looking at you, the nutcase in the corner shouting obscenities into his chew bog. Who am I fucking looking at? Have any of you ever been so drunk that you've thrown up? Oh, come on, of course you have. We all have. Take me, for example. One time I was decorating, right? I was decorating the inside of my sister's Skoda Fabia in a beautiful rosé wine. She didn't approve. She seemed to like it even less when I volunteered it as an extra topping on her pizza. Have you ever been so drunk that you've shat yourself? No, me neither. I'm not an alcoholic, though. I mean, I don't class myself as an alcoholic. Well, I can go ages without a drink. Sometimes even full days. Yeah, I don't think about it first thing when I wake up. You know, what I crave first thing when I wake up is a black coffee and a cigarette. Now that's an addiction. It's funny, isn't it, how we view addiction in this country? You tell somebody that you have a cup of coffee every morning and they'll agree with you. You tell them that you smoke 40 a day and they might think something about it, but they won't say anything. You tell somebody that you have a G&T every night and they're frog marching you to the nearest AA meeting. Imagine if we treated all addictions like that, with an intervention. Can you imagine having an intervention for a caffeine addiction? Put the Nescafe down, Martin! Oh, for the love of God, put the Nescafe down! Oh, or for a sex addiction. That could get moist. I don't know why I'm moaning, really. Society's fucked whatever way you look at it. I mean, I do envy those that still have the energy to try and go out and make things better, but ultimately you're going to spend your entire life working to make money for somebody else, and then you're going to die and saddle someone else with the bill for your funeral, so the sooner you accept that, the better. The more freedom you'll find. I mean, take me, for example. I used to absolutely hate the creeping influence of technology on our lives, but now I embrace it. Oh, speaking of which, I've got to take this. Give me a second. Hello, handsome. Oh, I'm very well. Better now you're here. Yes. Oh, I know. Sorry about that. Work. I never used to like history when I was at school. I never saw the point in it. What's the point in learning about things that had already happened? Like how Cleopatra went to the toilet, or how many women were stupid enough to marry the fattest king that England ever had. But as I've grown up, I've discovered a new love for looking at recent history. Say, the last 100 years or so. It's amazing to think how much the world's changed in that time. I mean, it's less than 100 years since the last World War, and that seems like a story from a completely other age. Oh, Britain coming together to defeat the forces of evil, standing strong against a poisonous ideology and defeating fascism, hurrah! And since then, the Britons have just been at war with themselves. Seems like the ruling class over here have to have somebody to target and destroy to deflect from the fact that they've got absolutely no idea how to run the fucking country. Oh, it was great. To read about, I mean. You had strikes, battles between police and workers, entire industries disappearing, oil crises. It was a proper class war. The working class versus the ruling class. No, we don't have that now. Nowadays, it's too difficult to work out where you fit. I mean, in the good old days, it was very obvious. If you worked for a living, you were working class. If somebody else worked for your living, you weren't. And nowadays, there's too much blurring of the boundaries. I mean, what even constitutes work these days? If you sit all day at a computer in an office, that's work. But if you sit all day at a computer in a coffee shop, that's not. If you work with tools like hammers and screwdrivers, that's work. But if you work with tools like canvases and paintbrushes and palette knives, that's not. How does one classify oneself? Take me, for instance. I classify myself as upper working class. Like, technically speaking, I live in poverty. Like, I live below the poverty line. But I have a cafetiere, so, swings and roundabouts. I used to have an office job. Every day, same suit, same tie, same desk, same stapler, same shit. Oh, day in, day out, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the tedium, the banality. But most of all, I couldn't stand the men. Oh, I couldn't stand all the bullshit that the men come out with. All that bluster and machismo. Oh, and then, of course, there's the sports talk. Oh. Did you see Manchester Town's comeback against Naples United? No. Did you see that Kieran Mbappa-Doo-Wop might be signing for Fulham Orient? No. Did you see that the manager of Bumfuck United got sent to the... I fucking didn't! No! Fuck off! But of course you can't say that. Because then you get your masculinity questioned and you have to put up with all those homophobic jokes. At the end of one particular week, I had had enough. I just had enough. So I did the only thing I could think of to do. I bought 2 litres of gin and countless packets of pills. And I had the best night of my entire fucking life. I was flying so high that I don't even remember buying the dress or the wig. But I tell you, when Fanny walked into the office on Monday morning to hand in my resignation, not a word was uttered. I've never felt so powerful in my life. And from then on, whenever I've needed to feel powerful, I turn to Fanny. Behave. I always found it odd that men were viewed as the stronger sex. Especially because all of the men in my social circles were such arseholes, and all the women worked harder and did the job better anyway. Perhaps it's because my father was never around. Well, he wasn't much of a father, more of a sperm donor, really. Oh, but that suggests his motives were selfless, which his most definitely weren't, so... No, not a sperm donor, he's more like a misplaced ejaculation. And once this misplaced ejaculation has cleared off, my mother had to do everything supported by my grandmother. So whenever I think of strong, inspirational people, I think of women. I mean, take Thatcher, for example. Now, I don't agree with any of her politics, but look at what she achieved. She didn't take any shit from anyone. Well, that's probably because Thatcher was so full of shit anyway. I've been doing sex work for over a year now, and I don't regret it. Look, the hours are great, the pay is better, but the banter's even better than that. I set up on OnlyFans and I haven't looked back. If you don't know what OnlyFans is, you can Google it, but it might not be the kind of thing that you want showing up in your internet search history. People get all sorts of ideas when you say that you do sex work, but I don't think it's that bad. I mean, I've never taken an erotic photograph of myself. Not properly explicit. I prefer to leave most of it up to the imagination of the viewer. No, I spend most of my time answering questions or recording erotic fiction or helping them live out their fantasies. I'm usually doing it while sitting on the sofa watching Family Guy, so it's hardly sensual, but it's good fun and keeps the money rolling in. And it's a nice way of getting a little bit of revenge on men. One of the first interactions I had on the site went like this. Him. Hi! Yep. Hi with 3 eyes. Hi, I reply, with the correct spelling. I was mulling over the possibility of this chap having missed out on some of his schooling when his next message came through. Do you have a slave? Do you have a slave? No joke. Do you have a slave? Well, I was about to launch into my spiel about how slavery is both morally and legally wrong when I figured that he probably meant a sex slave, so I shelved my lecture on Britain's shameful colonial past and replied with, excuse me? And he jumped straight in. I want to be your living slave. I love you so much. Give me your address and I'll come to your house and worship you. Wow. I was rocked. How do you reply to such a heartfelt outpouring of love? An affection so strong that they want to immediately move into my house and worship and serve me. I thought long and hard about my reply before saying, no. I mean, come on. And then he replies, but I love you. And don't worry, I'm not some creepy guy. Ha 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 ha. I'm not some creepy guy, says the guy that just messaged a stranger on the internet asking if they can move into their house to be their sex slave. Now, I'm not one to judge, but that sounds pretty fucking creepy to me. One guy messaged asking if he could call me Mum. When asked why, he said, well, because you're so much fitter than my mum. All right, well, that clears that up. There are, of course, the ones who want to pay to see a bit of flesh. Now, I'm no prude, so if they've paid, I'll send them something. Oh, I've lost count of the amount of men that have paid to have a wank over a blurry picture of my elbow crevice. It's amazing how many parts of the body that can be disguised to represent. Every so often, though, you do get one that makes you think. I had one guy message me asking what my monthly bills were. Now, thinking that this was leading somewhere unsavoury, I thought I'd call his bluff. So I emailed him an itemised list of all of my monthly outgoings. He replied with a list of the ones he was going to cover, and then sent me the money to do so. £200. I was quite struck by his generosity. And I thought how that £200 was really going to help relieve my financial worries. So then I did what everybody would do with £200. I spent it on gin. You can get so much gin for £200. Then there's the guys that get a kick out of being humiliated. One chap messaged saying, if I send you a dick pic, can you make fun of me? So I thought I'd save him the effort. I messaged him back saying I can tell it's pathetic without needing to see it. He sent me a tenner. And why are men so keen to show everyone the genitals? I mean, they're not very pleasant to look at. And, based on the ones I've seen, not particularly clean either. One guy paid me to rate his member. I think he was shocked when I messaged back, it's not as big as mine. Oh, empty. Time for a refill. Do I ever regret the way that my life has turned out? No. For the simple reason that life doesn't just turn out some way due to pure chance. It's a result of all the choices you've had and the decisions that you've made along the way. Now, I've had choices and I've made the decisions and I have to live with those decisions, like them or not. And do I wonder sometimes what my life had been like if I'd have made different decisions? Well, perhaps. But ultimately, it's the small decisions that make life what it is. Small decisions like, shall I have another gin and tonic? Yes, I think I shall. Cheers.